Hello, my name is C.J. Lovik. In the End Times Prophetic Update number 3, I asked a question that most Christians have probably never considered. I asked, how many days did Jesus live between his birth and his death? The answer is actually pretty easy to figure out, as based on the gospel narrative, it is widely agreed that Jesus was about 33 and a half years old when he gave up his life in order to accomplish the salvation of sinful man. If you multiply 33.5 times 365.25, you arrive at the answer, which is 12,235.8 days. Let's round it off to 12,236 days. Now, I hope you came up with the right answer. You are probably wondering, what in the world does this have to do with anything? The answer is that this is one of the clues that unlocks God's 7,000-year, a day for a 1,000-year prophetic timeline. Based on this close approximation of the time duration for the life of Jesus, can we now know what year Yeshua was born? Well, the answer is no. You cannot know the year, month, and day that Jesus was born unless you know when Yeshua died. Obviously, this clue does not identify the year Jesus died. All we have is a duration of time that only becomes very important once the death of Yeshua is discovered. The prophetic timeline that tells us where we are on God's calendar depends on discovering the disputed date of the cross event. That is the key that unlocks God's calendar dates, and once it's found, it's sealed and certified. That question has been debated, the question about what date Jesus died, for almost 2 millennia. If we knew when Yeshua died, we would be able to pinpoint not only the birth of Jesus, but also the second coming of Jesus. But that's not all. If we knew with certainty the year, the month, and the day that Yeshua died on the cross, we could forecast by going back 4,000 years to the very year that Adam sinned. Once the year that Adam sinned was known, we could forecast the end of man's allotted time to work on the earth, that amount of time being exactly 6,000 years, 6 prophetic days that on God's calendar are 1,000 years for a day, or 6,000 years. The last 7 years that concludes the 6,000 years is identified in the Scripture as the 70th week of Daniel. And at the conclusion of that time period that ends on the 6,000th year, it would usher in the final 1,000-year duration of time that would fulfill God's 7,000-year calendar. The end of the 1,000-year reign of Messiah on the earth would be followed by the last battle and the white throne judgment that, once concluded, will usher in the final fiery destruction of the present heaven and earth in order to make way for the eternal new heaven and new earth. But wait, there's more. If we knew the year, month, and day Yeshua shed his blood for our redemption, we could also know with certainty the year Yeshua was born, and by going backwards in time approximately 12,236 days, we would discover the year and the month when God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. And finally, with the approximate start date of creation, we could solve the mystery based on prophetic patterns that would actually identify the exact date of the first sabbatical cycle that began with creation, when the one and only original, never to miss a beat 7-year sabbatical cycle began. Impossible, you say? Actually, it is not only possible, but it is revealed with an exactness that will amaze you. Remember Daniel 12? At the time of the end, before the 7 years of great tribulation, the Lord is revealing prophetic knowledge that's been hidden. The last key to identifying the start date for the 70th week of Daniel was hidden in the 7-year sabbatical cycle that has now been revealed. Most of you might be thinking, well, if this is all true, and yet nobody knows for sure when Yeshua was nailed to the cross on Calvary, we are still just guessing. and until January of 2023, I would have agreed with you. What if I told you that the Bible actually does reveal the year, month, and day that Yeshua died? Would you be curious enough to take the time to investigate the claim? And what was the key that unlocks the mystery date of Christ's crucifixion? The next half a dozen updates will answer this question and start us on an amazing journey as I do my best to guide you through what I learned as I daily explored the Scriptures with the prayer that I would be allowed to discover God's 7,000-year prophetic timeline. Why should you care? Well, the answer to this question will become abundantly obvious to anyone who is looking up in anticipation of what the Bible calls the blessed hope. In order to prepare yourself for the next update, I would suggest you find and view the YouTube video titled The Rapture According to Jesus. If you have already viewed this video, I would suggest you view it again. And if you have not seen it yet, please view it for the first time. You will find this video on the Rock Island Book channel. Let's conclude this video with the next puzzling question. This one is not as easy as the last, as it requires some serious thinking, so here goes. If the 6,000-year countdown for mankind begins with the sin of Adam and ends after exactly 6,000 years, and it also ends on the last year of the final sabbatical cycle, well, how is that possible, since 6,000 years is not divisible by 7 with no remainder? I will answer this question in the next couple of updates, and you will be amazed at how eloquently God works things out with a precision that can only be explained by the reality that God not only knows the beginning from the end, but is revealing information that is only possible to know because the Lord reigns outside of the time and space He created for us. Don't forget to watch the videos titled The Rapture According to Jesus that are on the Rock Island Book channel. Episode number 5 is coming soon. I'm looking forward to it. Maranatha.